Hello, hello.
Hi.
Yo, how you doing, dude?
Yeah, good.
Yeah, yeah, hell yeah. So, yo, how's I know I just coached your brother recently,
Yeah.
and what how give me a bit of a gauge on your interest in StarCraft. How much you've been playing nowadays?
Um, Nowadays I just sort of started getting back into it. So,
Okay,
just started watching your 2021 Bronze GMs like a couple days ago.
nice.
Um,
So you're an expert.
I'm not
I'm just joking.
exactly. Um, um, yeah. So I'm not as good at my brother at it.
Sure.
Um, So yeah, I'm sort of silver gold sort of level.
No worries. What race you playing nowadays?
Zerg.
Okay.
I've always been Zerg.
Okay. Sick.
Yeah.
Well, I guess something I was if you don't have this, it's totally fine. But something I always ask everyone is, did you have any replays that you wanted us to take a look at? Maybe like something that best represents your games.
I just played a game this morning, like my first game this morning, and it
Okay.
was like pretty. It's like it happened to be a win, but it felt like it wasn't gonna be.
Sure. I mean, it's okay. I mean, wins and losses doesn't matter. It's as I'll
Yeah.
see a lot about how you play the game in your replay if you want to
Yeah.
check it out.
If I wanted to sum it up, I'd call it sloppy.
Sure.
Um.
That's how it goes. It's all good.
All right. How do I show? Do I just go watch with others?
All right, so one of the easiest ways we can do this, I've been doing this lately because it makes it easier for you to see what I'm doing. All you got to do is if you can grab the replay from your computer and drop it in the Discord chat we have here, that'd
Yeah.
probably be the easiest way because what I can do for you then is I can share my screen exactly for you. So you can actually see where like my
Mhm.
mouse is moving and you can see me look around the replay and stuff like that. So it'll be easier for me to explain stuff to you instead of always having to like elaborate. Like I'm looking at the natural, Euro natural specifically. That'll be like way more easy to
Uh,
follow along.
but
There you go. You got it. Perfect. Okay, so I'll jump into this and then I will share my screen for you, and then you can just like it'll be
yeah.
like a simple thing you can watch. All
Cool,
right,
cool, 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 cool.
just load it up really fast. So how's your day been going?
Yeah, good. It's early. 9. Early
Just
for
started.
me.
Yeah, just starting.
Yeah.
Yeah, nice. All right. Are you guys in Sydney?
Nah, Melbourne.
Oh, okay. I've only been to Melbourne Airport. Because I've been to Australia like 5 times, and every time I was always in Sydney.
Cool.
Melbourne's super nice though. That place is
Oh yeah.
yeah. The airport was so fancy. I was like, damn, this place is so good.
It's in the middle of nowhere though. If
Yeah, for
if you
sure.
stepped outside, it'd just be dirt.
Sure, yeah. That's how the airport is here where I live in Colorado. It's like literally way off by itself, by like 30 minutes out.
Yeah.
All right. So I just shared my screen. So can you see it? Can you see like my mouse
I
moving and
can.
everything?
Yeah.
All right.
Yep. Yep.
Sick. Okay. So we'll just go ahead and uh, jump into this, and this is a Zerg versus Terran.
Yeah, I hate Terran.
I think a lot of Zergs feel the same way. That's Terran can be a race that definitely makes you feel like if you fall behind, you just die. For sure.
Yeah.
All right, so let's help you find out how to not fall behind. So far,
Okay.
your build, it's all wrong. No, I'm joking. It's totally fine. No, like there is one thing I'll say. I'm sure if you're gonna watch more of my series, you're gonna hear me talk about this
Okay.
a lot, and it's something that actually gives you a bit of an advantage in the early game. And one of those things would be if you look at a mineral patch in your base, you're gonna have far patches and close patches. And what that
Yeah.
means
Yeah.
is,
Yeah.
yeah, that means it just means they're closer or further away from the hatchery, which is faster
Yeah.
mining. And the way to tell is
Mhm.
if you click it, closed patches have more minerals. They start with 1800, and far patches start with only 900.
Okay.
So you want to, as best as you can, try to stack 2 drones per patch on the closed patches and only 1 drone per patch on the far patches. So
Okay.
that is a great way for you to get a little bit of a lead here. And there's nothing else going on right now. So, because right now what's happening is you actually have 3 on 1 patch right off the bat, which is definitely not great for you. It's gonna slow your money down like crazy.
Right.
Because the final piece about this that's important to understand is a drone on a close patch will mine just like maybe it's not much. It's like maybe like 10-15% faster than a drone on a far patch, but it does add up over time. But a third drone on a patch has idle time. It actually sits there doing nothing every round. So you want to definitely avoid that as much as possible.
So is that just sort of like an early game thing, like while you've got nothing to do?
Exactly. You don't do it beyond like 1 minute in the game. Yeah, because you got so much other stuff going on. You don't do it for your natural or your third or your fourth. It's just for the main. And then when you get your main perfectly set up, you can a cool trick you can see too is if you click the patch, you can also see it says current harvesters with a number. So you can easily tell without having to always eyeball it. You can be like, cool. And you can just click them that way. So it'll make it easy.
Okay, cool.
And when you get every patch perfect in your main, try not to disrupt it as much as possible. So like if you're like, oh, okay, it's time to build a roach horn, or it's time to build my gas, whatever. Try to do it with new drones out of eggs, or with a drone from like a different base.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Yeah.
Yeah. So as long as this stays 16 out of 16 and it's perfectly saturated, it's just gonna help boost your money like crazy. And then once you get to a point where you have like 50 drones in total, it kind of becomes a little bit more irrelevant because you have so much income anyways, and you can spend it and be fine.
Yeah.
All right, and then we'll talk about your follow-up here. So your hatchery is good, nicely timed. All right, your pool is good. So far your build's great. The only thing I actually would recommend you do differently is your overlord path looks a little bit high. Like you're going to like this area right here. You're going to like the top of the natural.
Yeah.
What you want to try to do on every map, like this applies to every single map. The only race this does not apply to is Zerg, because Zerg has queens. So Zerg, I'll just say it really fast. With Zerg, all you want to do is you want to fly your overlord to like the vision of your overlord. Like your overlord would be here, so the vision would be within range to see the hatchery, and you would see did they expand or not, and then you would just back up to like right here or something to be safe. But against Protoss and Terran, you always want to scout the ramp. Like scout to like more like the base of the ramp, like right there. That's perfect. And then after you scout there, you can just beeline it back to the cliff, wherever the cliff might be on the map you're playing, or you can go to the open air space or something.
What am I looking for on the ramp?
So the reason why you want to do this is because you want to see expansion timing and you want to see opener as well. And if you see nothing, there's a chance you might be like. There's a chance you could be getting proxied. If you see nothing, yeah, exactly. Like if there's 3 depots and nothing else, you'd be like, are you proxying me with some bullshit right now? Like what's going on?
Yeah.
But also, it like if you saw, let's say for against Terran, let's say you saw like a Reaper and a Reactor and a Factory or something like that, you could already know like, oh, cool, it's Hellions or stuff like that is very relevant. It's something that like you're not going to utilize a whole lot in silver to gold. But it's a good habit to develop for yourself, where if you just go scout here, then go to the cliff. Like you can shift command it or something. It's something you're going to use a lot more once you get to like Plat and Diamond even more, Masters even more. It's going to become a mandatory thing for your gameplay if you make it that far.
Yeah.
All right, then 20 gas will be your gas. So far your build's great. 20 gas, perfect. So that's one thing though right here. This is kind of why I referenced the mineral thing earlier. So notice how you built the gas. Where let's just pretend your drone saturation was perfect right now, right? And when you build the gas, you actually rip off the mineral line to do it. And I would say just have rally an egg to the gas or something like that, and then just build your gas that way. Okay. That way you don't.
Easy.
Yeah, exactly. That way you don't disrupt the drones to try to maintain 2 per patch all the time. All right. And now you can see he expanded. So this right here is, okay. This is kind of advanced, but you can start to learn if the best way to scout, a lot of people struggle like crazy with scouting over time in StarCraft 2, and the best way to learn how to scout properly is to base your opponent's build off of your own build. So like you can also base it off the clock when you get really good at the game, but it really comes down to like if you're comparing right now, what do you see here and what do you have here? You can see your hatchery is like finishing right now, and his command center is just barely starting. So the difference of what these things cost is a hatchery only costs 300 minerals. It actually costs 350 if you include the fact that the drone gets sacrificed, but the hatchery itself costs 300. And then the command center costs only 400. So I don't really feel like this is enough of a discrepancy. Like that whole window of time here is enough discrepancy to say, oh, that's only 100 minerals worth of time right there. Because this is 67 seconds of the way in, and this is only 11 seconds of the way in. So that's a 56-second difference. And in 56 seconds, you can mine a ton of minerals. So already, you should know, okay, well, what did I do?
He's built something else.
Exactly. Like, you're like, I went hatch first. And that's what I did. And then I went pool gas after. His command center is super late, so he must have gone probably gas racks before expanding. And knowing how to read builds like this is so important. Because...
and so that's why he went Reaper.
I mean, he doesn't have to go Reaper, but he totally could. So, like, he could also go Marines, and he could go into a factory or something like that, too. Like, he could do multiple things. But if you can so there's two parts about scouting that you need to really think about. And a lot of people only think about one aspect of scouting when there really are two. And the first aspect of scouting that a lot of people think about is, what do I see? I see a command center. Okay, cool. He made a command center. And, like, it's just easy to understand. You know he made it. And that's nice. That's good scouting in itself because you confirmed what is there. But the second part about scouting that's really important to understand is the order of what he built and in what way. So if he just because he has a command center doesn't mean he's going command center. If he goes Reaper or if he goes gas racks first and then CC, it's not like, oh, it's going to be super passive. He could totally harass you if he wanted to. Yeah. So knowing that is so important, and it applies to everything in this game. It in scouting, so there's also multiple stages of scouting. So the first stage of scouting is going to be like your first overlord, which is really early. Basically the developing cycle of the game, like when people are basically picking the branch of the tree they want to go down. Like, I want to go this way or I want to go that way, because you can't do everything. So this already confirms what his branch he went down on, which was potential harassment. With a macro focus, but it definitely could be potential harassment. So just thinking, like, trying to open your mind up and think about things like that is definitely something you should always be doing. Yeah. All right, and then your build, honestly, so far so good. You're cranking your larva out like a boss. I would say your overlord, though, right here, it should definitely go back to the cliff now. I mean, the only reason why I say it too is because your overlord got to the base around 2 minutes. Because now the command center is almost done, and you've been here the entire time, essentially. If you miss the window to scout, like, right away, you shouldn't even do it. So, like, now, you should definitely go to the cliff, because if you go down there, there's a good chance you're going to die to Marines. And that there's a good chance if you don't move it either, you're going to die to Marines. So, just know the biggest thing that I would say is, like, a homework assignment for you if you want to really make your early game feel nice against Terran and Protoss would be learn every map's cliff spot, like the hiding spot for an overlord, so you can always, without having to like look around the map, be like, oh, where is it, where is it, where is it, where is it? You can just go right to it.
Sometimes I have trouble clicking on it. Like, is there a trick to it?
Okay, so that's huge. Okay, I'm glad you asked. Now let's talk about that. So a lot of people also think that the overlord itself should be over the cliff. Like, if you could literally plant the green box here of the graphic of the overlord right there, that would be how it's supposed to be. It's not how it's supposed to be. Because the overlord is not actually where it appears to be. The overlord is actually right there, on the circle on the ground. So what you'd want to do, what you could do is if you right-clicked where my mouse is right now, it'll look fucked up because
where's your mouse?
Right here. Sorry, I'm moving it in the little circle right here. You see it? Like right here.
I think I've lost it. Oh yeah.
Okay, like right here. You'd click like right here.
Yeah.
In the very, very center. You just right-click right there where it is. And then what'll happen is your overlord's body will look like it's right there. And you're going to be like, is that on the cliff? But it is, because the circle underneath it is going to be directly in the center. So that's that. So this is bases if he can see you or not. That's actually where the Overlord is, because there is no. The reason why is because in StarCraft 2, there is no Z-axis. There's no there's no multiple tiers of X-axis. Essentially, it's not like a full up and down environment. It's everything is based off of literally like a grid on the ground. That's all it is.
Yes.
So the air units in this game don't actually float for even though it looks like they do, they don't. They're all based off the ground, the floor of the game. So it's every air unit has this. As you can see, another Overlord has it. Another Overlord has it. Another Overlord has it. They all have it. Every and again, it's not just Overlords. It's every air unit. They all have a ground grid spot. So you just want to make sure that ground grid spot is hiding right in the center, and you're good to go.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. And then right here. So this is definitely annoying for you. And I would say the easiest thing you can do here would be just tell. So also your build is a little messed up. We'll talk about it in a second. But I would say just tell your queen here simply to move towards the Reapers. That's all you'd want to do. And don't even micro your drones. Don't move your drones towards him. Don't even do anything really. Just say, queen, go over there and attack that. And then you just leave, let it be. And try to inject your hatchery as well. But let your queen just get in the job done and just go over there and poke his Reapers out. So the thing is it sounds crazy, but I would prefer you to just ignore this for the most part, other than saying queen go attack towards that area, because if you overreact, if you start making zerglings right now, if you start trying to micro drones right now, if you stare at this and panic and stop making your larva at all, all these things slow you down like crazy. If you end up not making your layer, if you don't make a roach horn, if you don't make an evo chamber, if you don't spin the inject that's about to pop off. These things will all screw you over long-term like crazy. So I'm going to go back for a quick second and talk about your build really fast and just making sure right here, when your first two queens pop out, your build up to this point has been great. Super good.
I should have had the layer go up.
Exactly. And your third queen together at the same time.
Yeah.
So up until that point, you were doing great. And the reason why it's going to screw you now is because it's going to throw off parts of your build that's just going to make it harder for you to deal with stuff. Having roach speed early on definitely makes it really easy to defend a lot of different types of attacks that can hit you throughout the game while you're trying to defend your drones and stuff like that. So if this guy continues to harass you after the Reaper, that might be something that could screw you by not having something as simple as getting roach speed.
Yeah.
Okay, so, and this is, I think, is because you're scouting with your Overlord.
Yeah.
Yeah, because your Overlord's moving again while you're not doing that. So, and then you get distracted by the Reapers too, right after that. So just keep in mind too, that's why we talked about scouting a lot there too, like a minute ago, because once you've confirmed the order of building of what the command center was, you don't even ever have to look at it again to know what he's doing. So it's like, oh, he went barracks gas command center. Okay, that means that he definitely has the ability to make Reaper. He definitely has the ability to make a faster factory. He definitely has the ability to do a lot of more things that can attack me, but it means that his economy is going to be slower. So if I don't take damage, I am ahead, because he did not prioritize economy as fast as you did. And this is actually how this is how all ZvTs go, just in general. Yeah. And then nicely pushed away. So good defense overall. Good defense. Your larva was spent decently well during that. But it's the biggest thing for you again though is you are yeah, exactly. And then now your evo chamber's late too. Your gases are now gonna be late too. So parts of the build are falling apart.
Yes. Yeah, because I struggle with when they harass me. It's
I
it leaves my head.
I would say try your best to just say whatever happens happens. Just let the queen, as long as you and also this is a moment when you can also use your sound to I don't know if you played game sound, but if you do, sound is a reaffirming oh, we're good to go here. Because if you're doing your build, and you hear this right here. I don't know if you can hear this on Discord, but you just hear the queen going, like shooting its spikes at the reapers.
Yeah.
Like if you hear that, you don't even need to worry. Is that you know that your queen is smacking the reapers and getting them out of your base, and like you can look at them briefly here and there, but you should only ever like take a glance at them if you need to. Once all of your jobs are done, which is priority number 1 is larva. And then, and you know, and then making sure you're injecting your hatcheries and making sure your buildings are going down properly, stuff like that. Your build's not that bad though. Like I would say, you are behind a little bit, but it's not that bad yet.
Yeah.
Because you're doing a pretty decent job, honestly, for what it is. A quick tip as well, just to throw it out there. If you ever find yourself getting, I mean, it's gonna happen. It happens all the time to people. If you ever find yourself playing a game and you're like, oh my god, he's distracting me. He's being super annoying. I feel like I'm messing the build up a little bit. Feel free to expand faster. It's totally fine. Like if you were to be like, if I was sitting next to you right now watching you play this game, I'd be like, you know what you should do? Grab one of those drones on your natural and go take a third right now. And you might be like, well, aren't you supposed to make roaches first? And I'd be like, yeah, but now your roaches are late. And you have 700 minerals, and even if you make the hatchery, it won't even disrupt your build anymore because you're delayed. So this will be a way to catch up a little bit faster, where if you take a faster, greedier third, you can actually, like you know, turn the NOS on for a second there in your build and like catch back up. And a big deal as well would be if you know your opponent has Reapers, the only way a Reaper is going to kill your hatchery is if he actually kills the drone before the drone gets to make the hatchery. But if the hatchery already goes down and the Reapers show up and the hatchery's at like 20% of the way done, the Reapers will not kill it. Like, it'll just be annoying, but you'll get roaches out and you'll push them away, and then suddenly you got a third base. That's really nice.
Yeah.
All right. And then also a big thing too about your third queen, which is something that is your biggest weakness, I would say, overall this entire game right now, is you're doing 0 of the mechanic of creep spread. And that queen needs to be started ASAP so that you can expedite your creep spread as fast as possible. The faster you can get the creep going, the easier it is to deal with things like this because you can see it all over the place. Like, you're like, oh, he's walking on my creep over here, and he's walking on my creep over here. Like, it gives you so much more of a net of control around your base. It's like, basically, right now, you're kind of like a spider without a spider web. But if you have a spider web, you're suddenly way more perceptive of, like, everything around you. And you're Australian, you know spiders. All right. Once again, good job on making units during this. That's really, really important. You have a queen going down to your third, which is also important. So this would be this is where it's like things could start to fall apart a little bit, but I would definitely say if the queen's gonna go to the third, definitely try to make sure the queen goes like towards the mineral line, just so this doesn't happen. I will say I like your effort. So the thing you're doing as well is you're skipping safety roaches. You're literally you're just droning your ass off, and it's actually making it to where even though you've lost 6 drones already and counting, you're actually going to be okay still overall, as long as he doesn't hit you with something bigger, because you have so many drones you're making. You're just slamming them out like crazy. But
well, I figured because he's doing so much micro, and he's sort of probably low league like me, he probably wouldn't have macroed very much.
There's a good possibility of that.
So that was my thinking, is to I'll just smash out drones.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely a possibility there. One thing I'd be scared though for you about would be, it's been 5 minutes in this game. It's a long time.
Yeah.
And this guy's not lost a single unit yet, and he's only shown you two units, and he's been attacking you with these units for like the last 3 minutes. By now, or more like last 2 minutes, but by now he could totally have more stuff. And if, let's just say hypothetically, like 4 Hellions drove in your base, this could be very damaging to you. So I would say Definitely make sure you don't skip safety roaches, even if this guy is being annoying.
Yeah.
And because you don't even need to make a
Okay.
lot of them. Just make like 6. And one of the easiest things
Yeah.
you could do would be like, all right, this guy's really harassy. Like, so there's tendencies players have. Some players are very harass based, and some players are
Yeah.
very like defensive macro based. Now, if the guy is a very
Yeah.
harass based player, all you would have to do to make your life a worlds easier would be leave 3 roaches in front of your natural and leave 3 roaches around your third base. Just let him idle there. And every time the guy attacks you,
Yeah.
he'll be running into your roaches. The roaches will like do the work for you because you just let him sit there at like opportune spots.
Yeah.
And then you could slam out drones just like you are, and protect them more realistically.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, your drone count, even though so I'm gonna tell you right now, you've lost 6 drones, and your drone count, if you didn't lose those 6 drones, would be 67 at 5 minutes and 42 seconds. 5 minutes and 42 seconds of 67 drones is equivalent to the macro of like probably like a high diamond player. But that would also be assuming that you might also have a couple of safety units. But still, even though your macro is way above silver and like low gold, so I mean that's definitely a good thing about a good merit about your play right there. There's definitely a ton of potential here for you to get out of silver, get out of gold, get into plat, maybe get to diamond. Yeah, like your macro is much better than what I would have expected to see, honestly, for what you said you are. Definitely pretty good job so far.
Cool.
Okay, so you have a chamber going down. This is around the time you'd want to be starting a Hydra Den, because you want to start a Hydra Den ideally around the time when you take your third base. Like, rather when you start saturating it. So your Hydra Den's a bit late.
Yeah.
Your gas and your main is pretty late.
I forgot about that guy.
Yeah, it's okay.
That's,
And then make sure as well you're monitoring mineral lines and replacing as like the Reapers killed drones up here, and then you didn't replace before. But now it fixed itself because the patch went away, but yeah. Okay, and then are you still... Okay, I was about to say, are you still droning like a madman? You're just like going to go to 80 drones with no units. Okay, so now we got a hydrogen, now we got an evo chamber. Your creep is being spread. Roach count here, not bad. Okay, so not bad, and there's nothing wrong with your roach count necessarily. I would just say, it's one of those things where you would have wanted to have made the roaches in like probably 2 different waves. Again, I just preface it one more time. Like, once your 2 base saturation's full, definitely getting half of those roaches, and then once your 3rd base saturation's full, getting the other half of those roaches. But like around 14 roaches is probably where you want to stop. Like, realistically, that's getting on. You're getting towards the high end there, which is also why you'd probably want to have a faster hydrogen, because you really want to be making the hydras right now. Because if this guy, because you haven't scouted him at all, nor do I expect you to. I do not expect you to scout him right now. I just want you to scout the initial part, and then that's... If you scout anything more than that, you're already doing more than you need to for Gold League, honestly.
Yeah.
All it would be now would be just make Hydras, but you also don't want to let your larva sit there, so just make a faster Hydrogen. Definitely try to always pair... Like, once your 3rd base has, like, 6 to 8 drones on it, and you're still making drones, start the Hydrogen right away. Because your Hydrogen will finish... it'll finish in time, 100% for sure, for your 3rd base to be fully saturated, and like all 3 bases to be fully saturated, and then you can like do a little bit more roaches to do kind of like what you have now, and then start making hydras, and then you can hydra all the way up to like 120 supply. Yeah,
because that's another build that I usually have trouble with when they rush the battle cruisers.
Yeah, no, for sure. So that's gonna happen to you too if you delay the hydrogen like this. Like, your hydrogen is so late. It's about a minute later than it should be, honestly, or like a minute and like 20 seconds late. Like, remember when I said at 540, I was like, your drone count is like 61, or it could be 67. At that point in the game, your hydrogen should already be started.
Okay.
Because you wanna start it around like 6 to maybe like 8 drones, like starting to go to your 3rd base. Like, and again, it doesn't even have to be like it already says 8 on it. It could be like you just
Yeah.
you're rallying all your hatcheries to your third, and you just made 7
Yeah.
drones. So something like
Yeah.
7 drones just got made. Cool beans. You could grab one of those drones out of one of your hatcheries as they pop out of an egg, and then make a hydrogen
Yeah.
immediately.
Okay. Cool. Yeah, because I thought I had to saturate the third mineral line, and then
That's before
the
you make
hy-
the hydras themselves, but that's not before you make the hydra den.
Okay. Cool.
So that's why your hydras are super late, because the hydra den itself takes like what, 40 seconds or not that long. It's like 29 seconds. So that's I mean, if you're doing it after the fact, that's definitely going to open you up to some potential attacks that could hit you and be a massive problem for you.
Yeah.
Okay, so now he's dropping your main. And this would be a moment where I would genuinely say all you should do right now. If I was you, this is exactly what I would do. Select the army. On minimap, a move right there.
Yeah.
Like, or you could click the screen and go a move right here. Like,
Yeah.
the only reason, all you want to do is you want to just a move the area and let it be. And then go right back into making whatever you're going to make. Because if you stop spinning larvae at this point, you're just going to fall super far behind.
Yeah.
Let's look at your larva during this. So you did spend a little bit. Some more is going up again, though. Okay, you spent more again. Good job. Honestly, really good. Like, overall. And now you've confirmed. Okay, so here's a cool trick, okay? Now you've confirmed the kind of player this guy is. What's he going to do? He's probably going to go right here and drop you. And then if you come over here, what's he going to do? Load up and come right back here and drop you. And he's going to be super fucking annoying. So if this happens to you, the easiest way you can defend this is literally go like this. Take all your hatcheries on group 4 or group 5, whatever you prefer. It's fine. And be like, right-click right here. Just get a rally point that makes sure every hatchery has the same rally point. And you already have that right there. That's perfect. Even this, okay, so this one's new. It's not even selected yet. But I'm sure you're going to do the same thing. It's totally fine. What you can do then is you go, all right, roaches, all of you, a move right here. And then you green box. As all the roaches are going over there, green box like half of them, like that. And go, roaches, a move right there. And stop microing them. So you're basically just, instead of always feeling like you have to go, oh, he's over there, select all army, a move. He's over here, select all army, a move. Select all army, a move. Like, repeatedly doing that, you could just spread your army out. Because he's playing a very harass-based game. And if you just make units and spread units out, you can defend harass really easy. So then what happens is if you have like half your riches here, and you have half your riches here, and you're in a phase of the game right now where you're making hydras to 120 supply, which is what you're doing exactly right now. You could be like, cool, 13 hydras are now right here. I take 7 hydras and put them right here, and I take 6 hydras and put them right there, or like right here. And you just let it be. You just literally let them sit there. And then and then once you have 120 supply, you go back into making drones again. You could take another base. You could take this base over here or something like that. Just get yourself up to like 80 drones. And then once you make units again, you could be like, hey, units, go sit in the mineral line. Just let your units all sit around the mineral line so that every time your opponent tries to attack you, he drops into your user units. And it will make the harasses do nothing.
Okay, that's cool. Yeah, one of the issues, like, I don't use, and I really should use maybe army control groups, because when I press the F2 key, it's just, they all just go and it ruins where I put them.
It's gonna, like, control groups definitely are a good idea overall. It's going to be something you will grow into as a player over time. But I would say the worst thing in the world you can do for yourself at Gold League is pay attention to these too much. It's like, so instead of trying to react to it after it's happening, prepare for it before it happens by analyzing what is happening, by going, and then the way you do that is you go, what is his plan right now? He wants to kill drones. He did it with the Reapers, and he's doing it again with the Medevacs. Well, when he was, what were the Reapers doing? Every time they went in your base, they went to kill drones, and the second a queen got there, they ran away. And then now his drop comes in here, and he drops in the side of your mineral line, and he goes in to kill drones again, and the second your riches get there, he runs away. So this guy has shown you all he wants to do is kill drones, and it's a very common strategy that a lot of people will do because it works. It's what you should be doing a lot of times. It's totally fine. But if you know he's going to kill drones, just have units sitting by drones, and then it'll take away the whole equation of having to always watch the minimap and be in the right spot at the right time and going like this all over the place and being like, holy fuck, I gotta defend everything constantly, and needing to have like one control group, 2 control group, 3 control group, and it makes the game hectic, right? But if you're the one having just units sitting there, he's gonna drop you and be like, I'm dropping, and now I'm gonna macro. Our army's under attack, and he's gonna come back and be like, oh my god, half my drop's dead. Load up. Okay, go over here. And then he'll, you know, maybe drop it and be like, oh my god, more units are there. Okay, go back over here. Go over here. Get another medevac. Let's try to attack over here. Oh my god, more units are over there. And it's gonna be so, you're gonna be doing nothing, and he's gonna be like having the world's hardest harass in the game, because you just are out macroing him as you already are. You have 30 more supply than he does, which is great. And you're going to only do it even faster the more time he wastes trying to figure out where he can drop.
Yeah.
Oh, you did it, dude. I'm very happy with you. Okay. Hell yeah. I'm super happy that you, okay, there you go. You sent it all now.
That's the stupid army thing. Yeah.
So I think what happened to you there was you initially wanted to set it up that way, and then you were like,
yeah.
All right, drones are under attack. And you're like, oh my god, I'm losing drones. Okay, let's just go. Select our army, A move, go. And
yeah,
that is something that you should be doing if you're, you know, if it's like you have a low base count, or if your opponent's doing only 1 attack at a time, that's totally fine. But if your opponent is very harass heavy, definitely just let yourself feel okay to go, all right, spread out my stuff, like a 4th of my army, 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 and then just stop touching your army.
Yeah. Okay.
And it'll definitely it's just like it might be something you'll have to learn with muscle memory to like stop messing it up, because your body tells you, no, this is wrong, I have to attack. But yeah, if you just take some time and recorrect it for yourself, it'll definitely help you in the long run.
Yeah. Drones.
And it's okay, honestly, because like you right now still have a drone lead, and you also have a base lead. So I mean, you're still doing great overall. And one of the big things you really need to make sure that doesn't happen, though, is you don't miss injects and you don't let your queens do stuff like this where they're out of position. Actually, I think that's like actually a creep queen. I think your main queen died. But yeah, it's, like this queen's fine. But yeah, like making sure like your larva is still rolling full on. Again, your macro is, the queen's dead unfortunately, but your injects are not bad. Your larva spinning's not bad for real. Like you definitely have some serious potential here. I feel like this whole mechanic of not chasing the army is like your biggest weakness now, and your creep also is a big weakness that could definitely be better. Here's a tip I'll give you. Okay, here's actually a tip I'll give you. Hotkey your creep queen, and what you can do to make your life really easy is you go spread creep. Okay, now do my other stuff, do my other stuff, do my other stuff, do my other stuff, and then you're scratching your head now and you go, where's the creep queen? I don't remember where I put it. Instead of being like, where are you? Where the hell did I put you? Let's say it's on group 2. You could be like, double tap 2-2, right there. And it's, you're like already right on the queen. And you're like, oh, there you are. Okay, now let's spread some more creep. So it'll just, and then it'll just make it way easier for you. Oh, yeah. And then if you're not doing it already, definitely make sure you do creep like you would like read a book or something. Like a page. You go from either left to right, or you go from right to left. You never go middle, upward, downward, middle, left, right. Like it's just going to create chaotic cooldowns if you do that, and it's not going to flow. So far, I know I'm talking fast, and I want you to know that if there's a lot of things that potentially, if you're like, oh my god, you're talking so much, and there's so many things you're saying to me right now, I'm not going to remember all this. I will make this a VOD, and you can watch this as many times as you want in the future, so you can rehear it many times. But is there anything so far that you're not sure of, or you have questions about?
No, that's all good.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Good.
Nice. And just to throw it out there too, at any point in time, if you ever have a thought that you want to get out, and you're like, okay, I'm going to be nice though, I'm going to wait for him to finish talking, please interrupt me and just talk over me, and I'll stop talking, and because I don't want you to forget your questions if that ever happens. So you're more than welcome to do that. All right, and then nice. You got the good medevac, so that's nice for you. And then this would be that moment again where you'd just be like, okay, select our enemy, go to my 4th, green box a chunk of it, go there, green box another chunk of it, go there, green box another chunk of it, go there. So static D is not what you want to do right now. It feels like it.
Okay.
It feels like it is because you're like, this guy is so harass heavy. But it's not what you want to do right now because you have 45 drones. And
Okay.
you are actually starving now. Like, you're basically... You're working a job that pays you $60,000 a year. And you have no money saved up. And your wife wants you to buy a house that costs $500,000. And you're like, I don't know if we can afford that. That's essentially what you're doing to your build right now.
Yeah.
You're broke, and you're trying to spend more than you have.
Living beyond my means.
Exactly, dude. 100%. So right now, you definitely want to make sure as well you'd be remaking drones as fast as possible. Because the overall goal you should always think to yourself in this game is units that you make that are not drones. So roaches and hydras, the only reason you make them before you're done droning is to protect drones. So the numbers that I gave people in B2GM, where it's like the safety roaches on 2 bases, and then the safety hydras and roaches on 3 bases, that take you to 120 supply. And then you make drones to 80, and then you just max out. Everything until you have 80 plus drones is you want to have as little as possible of everything else besides drones. You just want to hit the bare minimums to make sure you don't die. And then you want to make sure that you're at the 80 drone count as fast as physically possible. And right now what happened to you was you actually hit like 70 drones almost, and then you got harassed, and then you went static D crazy, and you dropped yourself all the way back down to like 45, and then you now raised it back again to like 51, but you're still not making drones in the production tab here. And you're sitting at the drone count that you were at like 5 minutes and like 10 seconds right now. So you're almost at 9 minutes now. Your build now is like 4 minutes behind where you should be with drones only. So you've definitely slowed yourself down like crazy in the mid game.
Yeah.
And it's because you're overreacting is all it is. So that whole technique we talked about with the spread army is going to help you so much if you just do that from now on versus harass players.
Okay. Cool.
And then whenever you want to attack, it's so easy. If everything is scattered. If you're like, okay, I'm about to be maxed out, I'm ready to attack. Select all army, group it up, and then attack him. And it's one button press, and everything's fixed again, and you're good to go. And then when you go attack, then your bases are going to be exposed. That is when you'd want to add in static D, and then you'd immediately replace with drones again. You want to never ever, basically, if I could like put a mod in everyone's game to do this, I totally would. But there should be, like, imagine if the screen would go like dark red and there'd be like a buzzer that's like, brrr, like just something that's wrong. If your larva ever capped over 3 on any hatchery at any point in time, that's one reason why that would happen. Or if once your drone count hits 80, if it ever goes below 80, it happens again. Like you need to never go below 80 once you hit 80. You need to maintain that as much, like that's priority number 1 to never let that drop. Because if you do, your mid-game remaxes are going to be so weak. And the only way this build works is if you have strong remaxes.
Okay.
All right. And then you're making drones again. I'm happy about that. It's going to help you a lot, but you're still really low again. So you got a lot of room to cover here for the droning. And I would say also, do you know about the... I don't know if you've heard this yet, but do you know about what I call the 2-minute rule?
No.
Okay, so that's going to be something you should also use a lot in your gameplay. This is going to be a reference for if your build's on quota or if it's behind quota. So every 2 minutes, you should have another base being going down. So within the first 2 minutes of the game, your natural should be going down. And it doesn't have to mean it has to be exactly at 2 minutes, because your natural is going to go down definitely before that. It's going to go down at like 50 seconds. But as long as it goes down within the first 2 minutes, you're on par. And then your next base is going to go down around 4 minutes. Like your third base is going to go down at 4 minutes. Your fourth base is going to go down around 6 minutes. Your fifth base is going to go down around 8 minutes. And so on and so on. So like every single 2 minutes, you should be thinking to yourself, I should have another base right now. So right now you should already be on 5 bases and you're halfway towards your sixth base. So you wouldn't be starting the 6th base yet, but once you got to like 10 minutes, you'd want to start the 6th base. And the reason why this works, okay? This is the reason why this works. By 8 minutes, your main base starts mining out. And this is also, it's going to, so there's 2 reasons to this. Number 1, you have 80 drone plus economy, and you have that basically is going to fully saturate 4 bases. So if the way the 2-minute rule works is if you're taking your 5th base by 8 minutes, you're going to be fully saturated on 4 bases by 8 minutes because you're going to already be 80 plus drones. So you're going to have nowhere to send your excess to if you're actually on proper drone count. Otherwise, it would look like that where it's super oversaturated. So you need to have a new base ready to go for your excess. And then same thing again at 10 minutes, your natural is going to be losing patches. It's all you can see. They're already getting kind of low on some of them, like 200, 200. Yeah. And so 10 minutes on average, your natural is going to start losing some patches. You're a little undersaturated, so it might be a little messed up, but you get the point. And then you need somewhere to send those. And then same thing at 12 minutes, your 3rd base is going to lose patches. So you need to just, it's all about maintaining your economy. So the 2-minute rule always is just a good reference to go, okay, I should be expanding again. I should be expanding again. I should be expanding. And it never stops until you have every base on your side of the map.
Yeah.
And here's a cool thing about the 2-minute rule that pairs with if your macro, if your mechanics of Zerg are on par too, okay? So if you can do the 2-minute rule, and if you tomorrow let's say by next week, you're like, I'm a boss at the 2-minute rule. I never miss a hatchery timing. I'm always on time. A cool thing to represent that with as well is if you are ever expanding and creep is not already covering the hatchery where you're going to expand, your creep spread is lacking. You should always have, no matter where you go, you should always have creep in front of your hatchery before you take the base. So that is an indicator to know if you're the 2-minute rule for your hatchery timings. If that's behind, well then you're off quota. Got to fix that. And if your creep is not keeping up to par with the 2-minute rule, your creep is weak and you need to fix that. So you got to definitely allocate more time to doing that. So that's 2 ways to really understand with time, which is it's the only constant in StarCraft is time. Because your opponent is never a constant. Sometimes you might play like a platinum guy, and sometimes you might play like a low silver guy, and it's 2 totally different players. But time is a constant, and this is a way to know if you're playing well or not. So this will help you a lot to just like really gauge yourself to know, do I need to speed up, or am I doing great? Am I actually playing really well here? And it will eventually happen because you can totally do it if you're efficient at it. And once you can do that, I'm telling you right now, that's like your ticket to Diamond League. That's a huge macro, like fundamental aspect of Zerg. That if you can actually have decent creep spread enough to do that, and you can have the macro wherewithal to do that as well at the same time, your multitasking fundamentals of macro are already on such a high level to get you out of platinum essentially. Yeah.
Yeah. Cool.
All right. And then just definitely making sure you're always checking your bases too, because this base looks like a fucking abandoned ghost town. So how can get up there? All right. Now this would be a moment where I would say, nice defense, definitely back up though. And the only reason why I would say that is because you're making drones right now, which is correct.
Yeah.
I like that you're making drones, but if you push right now and you lose this army, all that's going to happen is you're going to prompt a counterattack from your opponent and he's going to kill you. And the easiest way to always understand about what you should be doing, honestly, is never feel in anything that's platinum or below, never feel like you have to play StarCraft 2 in the tempo of the game where it's like, I have to counter because he attacked it, or I have to do this or that. It's literally always, how can I protect my economy as much as possible and then just max out and then attack him? And like, once I'm maxed, it's the biggest power spike possible that I have. So if you just fell back for maybe 30 seconds and then maxed out, you would develop faster than he is. And you'd have a higher chance to break him essentially. Because right now, I definitely don't think this is a guaranteed win here. And actually, some of your units are actually turning around anyways because they're on like a follow command or something. So it's definitely just wasting a lot of your army. I'm glad you pulled a little bit of the whatever was there away. But yeah, definitely make sure, like, so that would be a moment where the best way you could figure this out in an easy way is this is going to teach you minimap awareness more as well, which is something you're going to need a lot of as you grow as a player too. But whenever you get attacked, I'm dead serious again when I say this. A lot of times when you get attacked, you don't even need to look at the screen. You just need to look at the minimap. And you could be like, let's just say you're like in the middle of going, I'm spreading my creep, I'm spreading my creep, and you have this happen right here, and you're like, I'm spreading creep, spreading creep, spreading creep, I'm injecting, and you're like, our forces are under attack. And you go, oh, cool, sectoral army. That's a big blob, and you just look at it really fast, and you go, that's a big blob of blue right there. That's not just like one dot. Because like think about it like this. Like look at that little green dot right there that I'm pointing at right there in the middle of the airspace here, the brownish airspace. That's one unit. That's what one unit looks like, right? That's like that would be like a harass. That is definitely a lot of dots together. That's a blob of units for sure. So if you ever see a blob come at you, just send your blob at it and just be like, Selector, let me a move to, like you can literally click into the blob. Because if you click off the minimap, it doesn't target a unit, so it won't fuck your micro up. It'll just go to the ground location to this spot, and all of your units come fight, and then then it really comes down to 100% chance you're gonna win the fight if your macro's good. There's only a chance that you'll lose if you're missing the beat here and there, and you're like, well, I'm undersaturated. I forgot my hydrogen for a while. My roach worm was late. My layer was late. My upgrades are late. If these things are happening to you, if those are happening, that's when you're going to die. It has nothing to do with, like, is my engagement looking sexy or not? Like, that doesn't matter if you're 80 supply ahead of your opponent. Because you're just going to win anyways. So, yeah, it's really just, like, the 100% tunnel vision focus on really cleaning up every aspect of macro and making it as clean as you can. So playing off the minimap is definitely a way you could just be like, Sector Army, move that blob, and then I'm going back to creep spreading, and I'm injecting my bases, and I'm making my drones saturate my gases properly. I'm rotating drones that are oversaturated on my bases to the new base, and I'm taking another base because we're at the 10-minute mark soon. Things like that.
Yeah.
And I'll speed it up to where we just were a second ago. And now, drone count-wise, still a little under. And, okay, there we go. So, this is also the moment when, like, you're getting kind of caught a little bit where the best thing you can do for yourself as a Zerg player is to hit, you want to hit that, like, juicy drone count of 80 as fast as possible so that you can develop a bank as you remax. As much as you can, as much as physically possible, and it'll basically what happens is you'll always have more money than you can spend by a bit, especially if you guys aren't trading constantly, or if like your opponent's not killing enough of your stuff because he's just getting out macroed like crazy. You're never gonna spend your money. You're gonna develop a crazy bank because he's just dying. But if your opponent is actually like on equal footing with you and he's killing your army, you'll always have enough money with your bank to remax. But if you get to a point where you stay super low drone count, like under 80, and if you think about it like this, think about what does 1 out of 80 represent in terms of a percentage? It's like 1.25 or something like that. So if you are 7 drones under 80, your economy, and up until when these drones are going to finish from the last time you made drones, for that moment in time, your economy is 8.75% weaker than it should be. And if you think about like how much 8%, like imagine if you had to buy something and they're like, oh, there's an 8.75% fee that you just have to pay every time, and you're like, what the fuck is that? Like that's a lot of money that I have to pay for what exactly? Like it's actually a substantial amount, and it wasn't just 7 either for the longest time. You were down like 40 or 30. Now imagine that times that by 1.25. It's getting kind of crazy, right? Like you're having like these 40-50% thresholds of income that is just missing, and you're like, okay, this is actually a shitload, and you're making units more than you need to at those stages of the game because you're throttling your drones for the ways we talked about before. So your drones have been throttled by either dying or by you over making static D, not making them enough, and making like hydro waves before you make drones again, like constantly. These things are gonna screw you the most. So it's really about getting to 80 drones ASAP and with minimal anything else. Just don't die. Minimal everything else. Like that's why the guide it's minimalistic as hell. It's like just make a couple of roaches and now you're good to go. Just make like 30 supply now of roach hydra at this stage of the game where your opponent could potentially all in you now. But as long as you do that and you're quick about spinning your larva, you'll overpower your opponent by. It's because you want to get to that point in the game where your army production gear starts spinning at full speed, and that's all you do all game then. And you're gonna become that's when you're actually at like the most roided out, scariest possible Zerg you could be. But yeah, when you're under drone threshold that you want, and you're trying to make units, then it might feel good because you're gonna have units a little bit faster, but it actually hurts you in the long run because, like, the difference would be, okay, how many hydras did you manage to make in 15 minutes? And with someone who throttles their drones like this, you might say, oh, this person made 110, which seems like a lot. But if your drone count was 80 right off the bat, and you were just making hydras, and you just nonstop wave after wave flooded him, the guy who made 80 drones right away might make like 225 hydras in 15 minutes, as opposed to the guy who made 110 in 15 minutes because he throttled drones like crazy. So and then it only scales even crazier at 20 minutes and at 30 minutes because you have you're just never letting your economy fall apart. It's like you get 100% economy. Like it'd be like saying, I don't know, like you get the point. I feel like it's all good. It's just full power economy faster means more money in the long run, and by a lot, for sure. All right, and then your upgrades are being started. Good job. You're starting your hive. Good stuff as well. I like it. So now you're getting attacked again. And now this guy is going back into the harass phase. So I would say, so now this is a late game harass phase, okay? And now if you look at that attack, that's a bit bigger. So I would say one of the easiest ways you could deal with this, if you want to, again, at this point too, you could, ideally you would have had a good drone count and then you could have added on static D and replaced your drones really fast. So you wouldn't have had a low drone count ever, but if the opponent does something like this, where he's not frontal pushing you, but instead he goes back to dropping you, you could, for instance, select all army, move towards this area, green box half of your army, and go to the other side of the map. And the reason why this works is because, again, you should have enough army to bust this down with... So think about it like this, okay? This is something that you should understand. This is a good way to estimate. Each medevac represents 10 supply. And if you look at how many medevacs there are, you can kind of guesstimate. All right, yeah, he's got about 40 supply there.
Yeah.
And then if you look at your supply, you have a... you basically... It requires a little bit of math, essentially. But you just always can subtract 80 off of what your total is, because that's your drone count, ideally. And then you just go, all right, well, I mean, it's about 80 as well. So if you look at this, and this is only 40 supply of what he's got, that's definitely not his entire army. Because you could just, again, you don't have to count all of it. You just count the medevacs. 4 medevacs, the 40 supply, times 10. And then you go, all right, if I divide my army in 2, because I have about 80, I can beat that, on creep especially. And then I can have, for the possibility of another drop coming here, because this is definitely a harass now, because he's just dropping you. He's not actually walking to you. He's not tank sieged here, stuff like that. Definitely would be a moment where you could probably break it with just a split army again if you wanted to take it that route. Now, I'm only telling you this because you're behind, and like where you should be. So you have to start thinking about stuff like this when you get behind. But if you were actually controlling the game with a great economy the entire time, you would be maxed out, and you would run the server so hard, and it wouldn't even be something that would be hard to think about because you would be applying more pressure to him as well, and he wouldn't really have time to attack you as easy. But because the game is kind of stabilized to a point to where you guys are actually like equal on supply here, it's a little bit harder for you to work with now. So now you can start thinking about stuff like that to be like, all right, I could actually spread, because again, I'm not going to be surprised if he attacks you over here too. And if you spread yourself out like he is, you can defend it much easier. You killed 2 medevacs, that was nice. And now he's doing the same thing, right? Like same exact thing again, where he's like, drop the mineral line, drop the mineral line. So this would be a moment where I would say you could even go back to now, like some of the drop has died. You could even do even further to go, all right, select all army here, green box some, go back here, green box some, go over here, green box some, go over here. Just guard your bases, and all you want to do is make sure your drone count is not crap. Fix your drones immediately, and then max out again. And then once you max, then you go kill.
Yeah.
Nice. And then there's the next attack. Now that attack is actually a big attack, and again, you can tell because it's not dropping in your base. It's actually this is no longer like, oh well, there's only 3 medevacs, so it's 30 supply. This is way like if you try to load these medevacs, like this entire chunk of the army still couldn't fit. So that's a big push. So that's not a time to split your army situation. That's definitely a time to select all army and attack this situation. So that's and again, the easiest way to tell always is what angle is he coming from? Is he coming from the middle of the map walking on your creep, or is he dropping on the side? And makes it a little more obvious. But you're starting to actually whittle down here, and you're starting to lose the game now because you just don't have as much as you should. Like he's killing so like you actually have a supply advantage right now, but he killed your economy here. He just killed a little bit of your economy here. He just killed some of your economy here, but you did replace it, which is good. He's also killed some of your economy here, and you haven't replaced some of it. It's like your economy is under threat the entire time, and it's not being maintained enough and defended enough. So again, to reiterate one more time really fast, spreading your units out would just make that a world easier for you.
Yeah, definitely.
All right, and then from this point on, this is kind of a moment in the game where the whole game is going to feel like you're playing at a disadvantage now, because you're never going to be able to really break the Terran because you're going to feel like you're playing catch up the entire time.
Yeah.
So the only way, like, and I want you to really understand that B2GM build only works when you're the one with the power, essentially. When you're the one with the economical advantage that you just smash your opponent over the head with like a hammer repeatedly, because now you still could win this game. But it's going to take a lot more than just massing Hydras and A-moving him. Like, you need to, like, probably add in some Broodlords or some Swarm Host or maybe go for some Lurkers. Like, you need to do something a little bit more cost-efficient than just walking Hydras at him and A-moving. And if the game gets like... And again, I wouldn't recommend you do that. I would recommend you just stick to Hydras. But just understand that the game already is lost for you at this point. More, like, still play it out. Try to play it out. But, like, try not to get yourself in this kind of a position in the first place. Because it's very avoidable if your macro is efficient.
Yeah.
This would be like, here's another analogy for you. This would be like having a kid and then trying to figure out how to clean up the poo the kid made on the carpet when you could have just used the diaper. Like, you don't want... If you could prevent the problem from happening in the first place, that was probably the better idea than always trying to figure out how to solve the problem when it repeatedly happens. Alright, and then you max out again, but the problem for you now is that he's also getting really close to maxing, and Terran's army actually scales better than Hydra's overall, especially if he has like tank, medevac. So it's like you can see he is kind of going crazy on you there a little bit. He like walked away from his tank, and it's just being annoying for you essentially, and it's becoming quite difficult. And the Terran's now on more bases than you. Or I know you guys are like on the same base count, but yeah, it's all good. It's just becoming more hard. It's every second the game continues, it's gonna get harder and harder and harder for you.
Yeah, and that's how it felt.
Yeah. Another tip I'll give you is make sure you're very heavy about attacking this base repeatedly. I would say make sure you're scouting the map more, because there's some way more exposed bases in the bottom of the map that you could be running over. Like if let's just say your Hydras went down this way, there's no army here defending that. There's no choke point you're running through and getting AoE'd by a planetary and tanks while you go through that. It's way more wide open. And if you knock out this base, also keep in mind too, killing new bases is so much more important than killing existing bases. And the reason why is because if you look at the gases, they're fresh. They've mined 4 each.
Yeah.
Mineral patches, barely been touched. So this base, just to throw it out there, the far patches that only have 900 minerals per patch, those are the patches that last about 8 minutes. This is why the 2-minute rule exists. The close patches that have 1900, or sorry, that have 1800, these are the patches that last about 16 minutes. It's about double the time, roughly. Like maybe like 17 and a half minutes, or or 15 and a half minutes. Gases also last about as long as the close mineral patches, but maybe a little longer, maybe like 1 minute longer, realistically. It depends on when you take the gas according to the minerals. Like your main base, you know, obviously you're mining minerals longer, but some of your new expansions, you might be like fully saturating all at once. Doesn't really matter. The point I'm trying to make here is gas lasts probably like 17, 18 minutes. So this base has for the next, this base is going to last with some form of mining until probably like 33 minutes in the game. So that's a long time. This base, however, is only going to last until about 24 minutes. So you're picking you're trying to kill a base that is going to be something that's going to be, and it's also going to be mining inefficiently in about the next 1 minute. 30 minerals on this patch, 30 minerals on that patch, 100 minerals on that patch. They're going to disappear so fast. So you're prioritizing killing a base that is less value right now. You're like basically you're committing your army to kill a base has like half the resources as the other one essentially. And then it's also more defensible because it has all this shit in the way, which is why you always want to, every time, the best thing you can do every time before you attack someone is drop some changelings, figure out where the newest, most exposed bases are, and then go. And imagine if you killed this base and look at this base. It's an orbital. You could kill that too. That'd be even easier.
Yeah.
And that's, that'd be super good for you. And then how's your drone count looking? 81. So your drone count's looking good, but how's the saturation looking? Oversaturated, over with no gas still, over, no gas still. Good. This base is the only good base you have. This base is also good. 2 of your bases are good, but yeah, 3 of your bases are a little bit problematic here. So it really just comes down to trying not to feel overwhelmed and making sure that this is always a priority to be like, fix, 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 fix. Because if you fix this as a priority, this indirectly becomes fixed, which makes him have a bigger problem. But if this is not fixed, then this is weak, and then you have a problem.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then this guy just keeps showing you the pattern, right? Doing it again. So another way to a lot of things about StarCraft is pattern recognition. And if your opponent is the kind of guy that every fucking time you guys aren't attacking each other anymore, he drops you. Every time you're in the rebuild phase, spread your units out as you rebuild them. Like one thing that's really cool you could do is you could literally just go like this. Okay, I know how my opponent plays. He's the kind of guy who just likes to constantly attack me with medevac drops. Hatchery, rally point, mineral line. Hatchery, rally point, mineral line. Hatchery, rally point, mineral line. Every one of them, rally point, mineral line. And you just make units. And they will stand in the mineral line as they get made. And then you'll always have spine, spore, hydra. And he'll drop with something like this into like 2 spines, a spore, and like 12 hydras already sitting there. And you're like, oh, cool, that's 5 medevacs, it's 50 supply. And I only have like 7 hydras here right now. But maybe I picked off the first 2 medevacs because you can't drop it all immediately. So he flies in, first medevac dies. As he starts dropping, second medevac dies. And then you move your army to come down and help this because it's, you know, a good amount of supply. And then you're good to go. That's 50 fucking supply that you just deleted. And or maybe he, like, let's say he sees your hydras here, he loses 1 medevac, and he boosts immediately up here. And you're like, okay, well, he's going to boost into more hydras. So, it would just make your life easier, just knowing that this guy's going to always do this to you. Because he just keeps doing it. Because every time the hydras show up, he immediately just loses everything. Every time. So if they're already there in the first place, you're just good to go.
Yeah.
All right. And then... I mean, you have definitely a chance to kill him now. This guy's throwing away so much supply. If you just attacked, again, not this base... you love this base.
If I went to the other one.
Because it's so exposed. There's no tank, no choke point, no army. This is so much more annoying for you to attack. And now same thing again, right? You're getting AoE'd by a planetary, by tanks, So many Hydras are taking so much damage. And you're getting bad uptime because the factories are blocking your concave.
Yeah.
And you actually bleed out. So you actually threw the game right there. Unfortunately. Like, well, I mean, you still could win again though. You're out macroing him like fucking crazy. And you win. Yeah, your like I said before, your macro is your best part. Your macro is by far your best aspect of your gameplay. But follow the 2-minute rule. Fix your creep. Not only fix your expansion timings, but fix your creep spread with that. Fix your drone count early on and maintain that. Try not to make static D until 80 plus when you're about ready to move out. So like use your army more as a result of that. Like spread out your units, and that'll help you as the you know, the same thing what static D would do for you. The units can do for you while you're playing defensive, but just spread them out. And then once you're ready to move out, then you won't have units defensively there anymore. So then you make static D because you're about to move out, and then you replace those drones so you don't drop below 80 for very long at all. And then behind all of that, the last piece you need to do, scout for expansions and kill expansions. New expansions first.
Like a smart base.
Yeah, new expansions first. If only we could calculate how much Hydra resources lost happened in that area right there. Probably like 8,000 or 9,000 of death right there. All right, man. But you have any questions about anything?
Yeah. No, that was really good. Yeah, really, really good. Thanks.
All right. So I'll be making this a VOD. I'll edit it out later tonight, and I'll send it to you on Discord. So I'll give you just like a YouTube video link by tomorrow on Discord, and then you can rewatch this as many times as you want. And yeah.
Awesome.
Dude, shout out to your family for being such a cool StarCraft family. I do really appreciate you guys. And James, thank you for doing a lesson, dude.
No worries. Thanks very much.
All right. Have a good rest of your day.
You too. See ya.
Later, man. All right, guys. That has been a coaching lesson with our boy, Kal-El. James. And, yeah, he's got a lot of potential to definitely grow at a Gold League for sure. But, guys, thanks for watching. I hope this helps you. Anyone out there who's struggling to understand how to deal with stuff, how to deal with multiprong, how to deal with harass while in Gold League in a very simple way. But thanks for watching. I'll see you guys in the next video, whatever that might be. And until then, good luck, have fun, and see you next time. Peace, everybody. See ya.